Okay, so we are live. So welcome back, everyone, to another talk of the Matomo Camp conference. And now we have Dan Banks here. Dan is one of the few speakers outside of Europe, located in Connecticut, north of New York, giving us the talk today. His expertise on the matter is Dan helps distributors navigate the endless data provided by their online channels and supports them define and set up goals and KPIs to create valuable insights. So this is a very interesting topic from A to Z, and and he analyzes their need to understand customers, audiences, and their online journeys. Anonymous data only paints part of the picture. This is where Matomo can step in and complete customer picture. So thank you very much for being here, Dan. We're very interested in your talk. So you can go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Peter. So as he mentioned, my name is Dan Banks. I'm from a company called Domani Strategies. And what we're going to be discussing today is really why U.S. distributors should be using or thinking about using Matomo. And really the main reason that you're going to see as we move through this presentation today is it's an analytics package designed for B2B. And what I mean by that is it is beyond what your anonymous user data is going to provide. And we're going to walk through specific questions and use cases and ways that you can look at the data within Matomo to answer questions specifically about the customers you support. So why I wanted to give this presentation. It's a little bit of background around who I am. I've spent over really 20 years working within the wholesale distribution sector, working with technology focused on them. So I really understand the ins and outs and nuances of the specific needs that you as a US distributor encounter when your customers are engaging with your digital channels. I really kind of understand those questions that you need to ask that you may not be asking when it comes to e-commerce, when it comes to web, when it comes to the digital experience your customers have. I have also served as a product owner for an e-commerce analytics offering using Matomo as its foundation. And this was for a well-known B2B e-commerce solution, again, focused on wholesale distributors in the US. And so we worked to present a platform where our clients could understand their customers and their customers' users' digital interactions and journeys, and ways to look at that from their customer's perspective. And lastly, quite honestly, I really believe distributors would greatly benefit from what Matomo has to offer. There's a lot of great things that other analytics packages bring to the table and provide, but I think Matomo is uniquely situated with what they offer out of the box to you as a user. At the end of the day, analytics is really all about the questions, right? What questions should I be asking? How do I get to that data? Many of you have ERP systems and business intelligence applications centered around offline customer data, centered around what their engagement with you is through sales reps and through phone calls and through your offline channels. But how many of you, and I put this in the poll in the chat, so please answer when you get a chance, is really how many of you have a current digital analytics strategy? Overall, most wholesale distributors that I've spoken with who are engaging with a digital channel, who are starting that transformation, that journey, that evolution, really haven't stopped to consider what their analytics strategy is for their web. So that's the first starting point. And really, to develop a strategy, it just comes down to the questions. What questions am I trying to answer? Well, what about something simple? What are my customers searching for when they come to my site? As a distributor, you offer products. Are your customers coming and searching and finding the products that they're looking for? What are they searching when they come to my site? Where are they spending their most time? Well, this helps you understand the engagement with the content that you're providing. Are you providing them the right content? Are my customers using the B2B features on my site? And this is where Matomo really shines, because the B2B features are behind login, right? They're authenticated based on the user that's coming to your site, and sometimes it's connected directly to an API with your ERP. Sometimes it's simply the database that it's encountering. But at the end of the day, they're looking to have more for them when they come to your website. They're looking to get access to their invoice history, their sales orders, their open orders. They're looking to build lists. They're looking to potentially communicate with sales reps directly through the web. They're looking to be able to service their accounts without picking up that phone, which is good for both you and them, right? 24/7. That's a B2B site. It's designed to be a 24/7 experience, so that now they no longer have to wait for you to open those doors to find out what's happening with that order. They can track it. So are your customers using those B2B features? Just as important is, what are they buying from you? What are they coming to your site and purchasing? Are they finding new items to purchase? Are they just purchasing, off their standard list? It all depends on how you've organized the product data and the content on your site. But this is really powerful because you can see if they've stepped outside of their normal buying patterns and engaged with new products or product lines. And just as important is, what are they leaving in their cart? Do you have a sense of how much money is being left on the table? It's interesting because when you start to look at this data, you start to understand that you could, through just a small percentage uptick in site conversion of these abandoned carts, could see a tremendous uptick in your overall revenue driven from the site. And we're going to talk about all this and look at this through the Matomo platform. And then ultimately, I've kind of asked this already, but are they engaging with the content that you're providing? And this is important because you think about what else you're offering to your customers, either through blogs or through product data, enhanced product data, specification sheets, training videos. Maybe it's, additional information about what's going on within the industry. Are you servicing your customers the best way that you can with the content you provide? So, as I mentioned, it's analytics designed for B2B. So, the real difference here is what happens after login. So, Google Analytics can show this, but it takes a lot of effort. So, let's go ahead and just jump to that for a second. And this is certainly possible, but it takes a lot of effort on your side and doesn't really provide you with all the data that you're going to look to achieve. And this is where Matomo really comes up strong. They track this right out of the box. So, what your user is doing after they log in. And it all comes down to the power of what I call the profile. And the power of the profile is user ID specific, and it really gives you an understanding of what that individual is doing on your site. And I want to highlight something here, is it's not just some randomized ID that you have to figure out and how to match, but it's actually their login, their email, their user ID. So you can see that this individual is engaging with your site in this way. When in the offering I mentioned, one of the things that we brought into the user ID field was actually their email address. It was their login to the site, so it could easily be tracked. In addition to that, you extend it. You can extend it with custom dimensions. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's additional data points that you can bring into the analytics that allow you to look at your visitors in different ways. In this scenario, it's looking at it from this user type called author. But for the package that I've mentioned, we actually brought in the customer name. So now you think about the ERP, business intelligence and analytics, and the web analytics, and tying them together, knowing not only what's happening offline, but what's happening online with that customer can be very powerful. It captures the full lifetime of the visitor. Well, when did they first visit you? And when was their last visit? and let's understand what their journey has been through that entire time. How engaged are these customers? Well, again, looking at that user profile, which is very powerful, you can get a high level snapshot of that individual and what they've done with the site. In this scenario, they've spent almost an entire day and a half, right, on the site, and they've performed this many actions, but it's been over a period of a year. So, are they really that engaged? Well, let's drill down and look at it. Well, now we can take a specific visit that they did on a given day and see exactly where they spent their time on the site, drilling down into the details. And this helps to open up a bigger picture for you. This helps to open up what's possible to engage, or how it's possible to engage with this user, this customer, in better ways. As we can see, this individual has actually spent time going through those B2B features, those My Account options. They've spent some time shopping as well. And we'll walk through a demo instance of Matomo so you could actually see this stuff real time. How much time are they spending on your site? Well, this also speaks to engagement. In other words, when they come to the site, are they leaving immediately or are they spending quality time? In this scenario, most visitors are coming to the site and jumping within 10 seconds. Not a very engaging site. The content's not meeting their needs. They're not finding the products they're looking for. So there's definitely some tweaks that we need to do, some definite things that we need to engage with. What are your customers searching for? What's interesting is when you start to look at this and you start to kind of get a sense of the types of content and products that your customers come in and they type in that search box, and it's important that you have a good B2B website and have a powerful search experience for your customers. But in looking at that, what are they looking for? See it from a high level in Matomo. Get a sense of the keywords that are being entered and get a sense of when they are moving beyond just that, right? So if I'm looking for something and I'm exiting right after that, well, then what I've found is not meeting my needs. Maybe it's not the content. Maybe it's just not the product that I was expecting. But in this scenario, we could see about 20% of these searches are ending up in immediate exits. Again, drill down to the user. See exactly what they searched. And in this scenario, same user profile we're looking at, but their sites, each keywords were fins, neoprene, and lines. But when it came to lines, maybe we could do a better job with the product content. Did they find what they were looking for? As important as it is to understand what they are finding on your site, it's just as important to find out what they are not finding. So you think about, this horrible pandemic, right? And how that just created a wave of people going on the websites and looking for things like safety and masks and PPE and all that stuff. As a distributor, you would be able to come in here to Matomo and quickly understand if there's been an uptick in a given search term. That can help guide you into maybe a new product line to bring on. Maybe the distributor down the street is closing its doors and these people are looking for replacements. So they're coming to your site for this, looking for specific content. How can I, that type of thing. And so these keywords with those search results is very powerful. And in this scenario, we can see that this particular item number ended up with a few searches on that day. And in this scenario, this time frame, we can see that this individual user searched for that and was not able to find it, but they came multiple times. So there's something there. They're wanting to find that product. And again, we could see that username right there with Wanderlust. So see exactly what they searched, but couldn't find. Are you meeting your customers' needs? That is a very broad question, right? But at the end of the day, your digital channel needs to be more than an e-commerce site. It needs to be a site that provides content and data and information that your customers want, right? A lot of times a B2B commerce site is not necessarily a revenue driver out of the box. A lot of times it's a conduit to offline sales. It's an opportunity for you to start that interaction for that customer. So they pick up the phone and call their sales rep. They pick up the phone and they call your counter. They pick up the phone or send an email, or they build a request for quote right on the site. Those types of things are important to understand if you're meeting the customer's needs. So are they not only coming to your site first, but are they coming back to your site? I was at a trade show one time, and I was sitting and talking with distributors, and it was interesting how they kind of thought about their website in relation to their showrooms, because distributors spend an enormous amount of time making sure that the counter or their showrooms are really friendly and inviting, and not just to attract that customer, right? They put out the ads, they do all the marketing, but they want that customer to come back. Well, the same thing should be true of your website. It should be just as inviting. It should be an extension of it. But how do you know if it is? How do you know if you're actually meeting your customers' needs? Well, one way is really drilling down and looking at the number of times you have return visits, and per return visit, what are they doing? What's the average visit duration for a returning visitor? How many actions resulted from returning visits? And ultimately, is your site engaging your customers in the way that you want to engage them? Are they connecting with the content you are providing? Well, that content could be downloads, right? Maybe you have rich product data on your website, engage with, organizations to do that. Maybe you've done it yourself, but you do have specification sheets and documents and training videos and all that good stuff. And maybe you're not aware of if it's actually being used. Well, Matomo can open that door for you, can provide that information, that data that you can easily get to. Where are they spending their time? Are they using the B2B features you provide? Are they engaging with their account? Are they building a quote request? Are they looking at invoices? Are they building product lists? Are they doing all the things that you've spent all the money to provide to them? Right? You want to know if there's a return on investment for your commerce site, for your B2B site. Well, one of the ways is this exact question: are they using the features you provide? And again, being able to drill down and see each of the pages and look at how many times, how many interactions there have been with the given areas on your site. Are your customers buying? Well, that's huge, right? Because we opened up, spent the money on the product catalog, we pushed our products out, we've connected it with our ERP, and now there's real-time inventory and there's real-time pricing. We've done all these things. We want to make sure that our customers are actually buying the products. Well, is your site converting visits to sales? A quick snapshot indicates where we sit overall with our conversions. And what's very interesting here, I'm just going to stop for a minute. This is kind of key, right? The average order value. So one thing that my experience has shown me is that when distributors engage with a B2B commerce site, typically they're going to see their average order size increase based on online sales, right? Their online sales is going to be larger. And you want to be able to track that. You want to be able to see that and see if that's actually the case. So within your analytics strategy, that might be a question. Has my average order size increased? What is my site conversion rate? But just as important, and we'll talk about this, is what about abandoned carts? So what categories and products are driving these sales? How do you get to that data? Well, certainly within the ERP, if it's connected, right, the sales come into your ERP, you're able to kind of get a sense of it, but not really who's buying them, not really who's engaging with them, right? So looking at that from this standpoint, we can see from this little snapshot, this dashboard, again, standard within the platform, you're looking at product category, and we can see that the product revenue driving, or the revenue being driven from starting out and accessories, really is what's pushing my website average price and other things up, right? So as we look at this, we can drill down and even look at the individual products by SKU or by name. right? So it's all available for you to get access to help understand the overall ROI and revenue production of your site. What are your customers leaving inside their carts? So I would ask this question, and I know you can't. Maybe you can raise your hand, maybe you can't. But in the chat, are you using any kind of solution for this today? Right, because this is an important thing that I think is a little bit left behind with B2B. I think they don't think necessarily about looking at this. I think they are shocked sometimes when they see how much is left in carts. But Matomo provides us right out of the box with just a little click on the dashboard, and we'll look at that in a few minutes within Matomo. But what we have here is the product revenue left in the cart by product category. And the question is why? Well, by drilling down into each of these KPIs, we can potentially identify the reason why, right? It might be simply price. It might be the fact that the page was loading too slow. It might be any number of reasons, but we can get a general sense of what those reasons might be as we drill down. As we drill down, we can get to the actual products within these categories. So we can understand which products are the biggest issues. And what I would do is this basic wetsuit, I would drill down right into this. I would go to that page and I would look at it. I would say, wow, that's interesting. There's been over 2,000 abandoned carts. Why is that the case? Obviously this is demo data, so $1.3 million of basic wetsuits left in carts, but you get the idea. The other really cool thing about Matomo is it allows you to see the data the way that you want to see it. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's widget-driven dashboards. So you can build your own dashboards by user. You can come in and have it organized the way you want to be able to see it. You could share those dashboards with other users. If you've built a cool dashboard, you want to copy it and make sure everyone in your company can see it. You can do that very easily, very straightforward. But you get to come and see the picture, right? See the paintings on the wall the way that you hang them. And that's really cool because you're not roped into a standardized view that you have to come in and navigate through data you don't want to see. The other piece is you can create your own segments. So, within your ERP systems as a distributor, you might have key accounts, right? You might have A customers, B customers, C customers. You might be organizing your customer base based on revenue, based on any number of things. But when it comes to online, you might want to see it a little differently. You might want to segment your customers based on state, based on location, based on user, type, or based on one of those custom dimensions I mentioned, right? So you have the opportunity to do that. And not only do that, you can create a comparison. How are they comparing overall? Or how are you compare multiple segments against each other and stack them on top of each other? And then when I look at the data from a segment standpoint, it actually repopulates or shows me the data in Matomo based on that user segment. So I can, or based on that custom segment. So I can really slice and dice and get to the information the way that I'd like to see it. Also, Matomo gives you full reporting capabilities. You can do exports, or it has like all data that's collected into Matomo is also available via API. But for the simple, that don't want to engage with the APIs, you can schedule reports to be emailed to you. They can be HTML, they can be export, Excel, CSV, they can be different file formats. Again, accessing the data via API, or even embedding the dashboards from Matomo on your website or externally using their widget capability. So some really cool things that you can extend the platform to be able to do. So I'm just going to stop for a minute and just see if there have been any questions that I should address.
Yeah, I think we have two questions already from Diana. She would like to know if she could also apply this framework that you're introducing here, if she could also apply that to a to a general SaaS company, so to a software as a service company, perhaps not offering e-commerce statistics or e-commerce capabilities, but any kind of other KPIs.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, you could definitely see additional data within Matomo, and how customers are engaging with your site and all features of your site. So 100%.
Perfect. And the other question that we have already is from Evan. He would like to know if there are some typical or classic custom dimensions that should be added to a user profile out of the box before you come up with a big concept and framework and everything. Are there some typical custom dimensions that you utilize from the beginning?
Yes. So from this standpoint, the custom dimension I would definitely do is customer name, and customer ID. And the reason why is, and I think this is where it really becomes important to understand how to get to the data within Matomo, is because you have two data sets, right? You have your ERP data set, and then you have your online data set. And the challenge of marrying the two can be overwhelming. So you want to be able to create a connecting point, or a data point that you can use if you want to create a combined database at some point, or you want to maybe push it into your CRM or into your ERP. And that data point, customer ID, right, and customer name. You may also, if your platform supports it, if your B2B commerce platform supports it, potentially ship to would also be very interesting. The other one may also be warehouse. In other words, where they're getting the product from. And that might help you from a standpoint of understanding sourcing of your products to your customers. So definitely customer ID, customer name. The next two would be ship to, and warehouse.
Perfect. Thanks so far. Perhaps a quick comment on that from my side
Yes.
for the European market, also in the B2B area. Those are perfectly great data points for the European market. Perhaps you could pseudonymize or anonymize those data points to be just unique for a session or a user, but not telling the concrete or specific email address or name or something like that. Because of the GDPR issues we have here.
And that's a great point. Matomo really does address the GDPR concerns. And really, when you think about the access to the data, it is protected behind this platform. So it's not, browsable or findable, and open. So just something to keep in mind on the US side. You also have the ability to quickly anonymize data within Matomo. The other piece is the CCPA. When it comes to the collection of private data or cookies, right? The cookie consent policy. So there's certainly platforms out there that you can engage with and put on your website, but Matomo has an option within it that you can actually build your own privacy policy and an acceptance. So that's something I'm not going to show you today, but it is also available.
Perfect.
All right.
So these are all questions so far.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So the biggest question I think you're probably thinking is, well, do I also need Google Analytics? And the answer really is no. Two things: you can actually import your Google Analytics data into Matomo, but on top of that, Matomo does a fantastic job of looking at all the other types of data, right? Not just being able to see the customers and users, but the other data is pretty straightforward. Visitors in real time and by location. It's kind of cool to go to your Matomo and open up the map and see where all the visitors are at any given point, and being able to pinpoint even down to the states and areas where they're coming from. And maybe it's because you sent out a marketing piece, right? Maybe it was a circular or a flyer or something like that you've sent out, and you could see if it actually had effect. Source of traffic. Where are they coming from? Are they coming from a Facebook post, Instagram? Are they coming from Twitter, LinkedIn? Did I send out an email with a tracking code in it that where they came from? Or are they just direct searches? Or did they come in from a search engine? I can see all that within Matomo. Where did they come into on my site? So where did they actually land first? Maybe they didn't come directly to the homepage, because just kind of veering off a little bit here, one of the ways to better your search engine optimization is to actually create these backlinks and make sure that you're linking and have your website on other sites, right? So you want to make sure that that effort is being met with the response and being met with the overall effect that you're expecting. And so entry pages can be powerful that way. Exit pages, where are they leaving the site? Personally, I think this is one of the most important data points that you can look at on a website, because you get a very good sense of, am I giving them the content they want? Are they finding the products that they're looking for? What is turning them off on my site? And you can look at that very easily within Matomo. Campaign tracking. Matomo offers right out of the box, you can build a tracking code that you can drop into newsletters. You can drop onto a Facebook post. You can drop on into any of the social media platforms, and it will track that and indicate whether that user visitor came from that tracking code. Sales by channel. This is important to understand what channel actually is driving sales. Is it, again, the social media? Is it the email you sent out? Is it just simply they're coming organically to the site? Heat maps. So some of these things are offered through additional components that you can add on to Matomo. There's levels that you can build up, if you will. And heat maps is one of those. And heat maps is great because if you know Hotjar or some of these others, it's another platform. It's another thing that you need to have on top of. But this actually allows you to build heat maps into your platform to be able to see where your customers are spending time on the pages, what their interaction has been. And then this one's also very cool, is session recordings. Let's say you are looking at some of the pages, right? You go to that exit pages, you identify one or two pages that are really driving people off your site. Well, what you can do is you can go in and create a recording for that site. What I mean by that means that you can take samples of visitors who are hitting that page and see exactly what they're doing during that visit, and maybe get to the bottom of why there's so many exits off that page. So what I'd like to do now is actually walk you through a demo version of Matomo. They offer a great trial and give you an opportunity to kind of get into their platform and see what's possible. So that's what I'm going to actually jump into here. And again, I'm just going to, before I do that, ask if there's any questions.
Not currently.
All right, perfect. Let me get back to my screen here. Bear with me for one quick second here. All right, and I'm just going to turn off my camera for a minute here. All right, so what we can see, Peter, can you see the analytics here?
Yeah, perfectly well.
Perfect. Oh, I need to sign in again. I was talking too long. All right, so we're going to go right to this demo piece here. And within this, you can see it kind of opens up with a standardized dashboard, giving you opportunity to get a quick snapshot of what's going on. But what's really kind of cool, as I mentioned earlier, is being able to build out your own dashboards. So I can add widgets. I can create change my dashboard layout. I can rename it. I can copy this dashboard to a user. I can create a new dashboard. And it gives me access to all these widgets that I can just drag and drop right onto the dashboard. So that's a very interesting and cool thing for you as a user to personalize your experience within Matomo. So in addition to that, right, I've been talking about all this information, right? The visitor profile, as I called it, the power of the profile. So what I want to do here is I want to go and look at a particular data point, right? Like for instance, we talked about search, right? So within here, you have behavior, and here's all the different behaviors that have occurred. And let's go to site search. And here's all the different keywords that have been searched. And as I hover over any of these words, there's going to be a little bit here called this segmented visits log. And this is now allowing me to drive down into this data based on those visits. And now I have these individual visits with the data points that I can see by individual. But this visitor profile now allows me to get into the heart of this platform. Sorry, the heart of this user's journey. And right now, what we've got here is a quick snapshot of their overall journey. In other words, they've been on my site 52 times. They've been here since Wednesday, October 27th of last year. And I can really scroll through and take a good look at these individuals. Now, by no means am I saying this is what you should be doing 24 hours a day, right? Because paralysis by analysis. You have so much data here that you would be able to get to. But it's identifying the outliers and getting to those outliers, like the search keywords with no results. That's an outlier. Why are they looking for that particular product? Or are they downloading, right? Are they getting to my content? Am I providing the right content? If I'm not seeing downloads on content, then that might be, might not be providing them with what they need or what they're expecting. In addition to that, where are they coming from? So acquisition, right? So there's the acquisition overview dashboard that gives you a quick sense of where your overall visitors are coming from, right? Direct entries, search engines, campaigns, social networks. But now let's get into the actual detail of that. And we get into all channels. And now we can start to really drill down into here because we can see based on this, we have a campaign out there and the campaign's this. And again, we can kind of see the fact that there are visitors coming from that particular campaign, or what are the referring links that are driving traffic. So in answer to the other question I said is, do you need Google Analytics? No, you really don't. Matomo gives you the full package. It gives you the ability to drill down into the data points. It gives you the opportunity to see it from a standpoint of anonymous data as well as your customers. Build goals and funnels, right? So you can build a goal and see who's actually converting on those goals and funnels that drive them to these goals. The heat maps, right? Within the platform, again, getting a sense of where your customers are spending their time. And I really kind of like this because I was talking to a distributor at one point and we analyzed their heat map on their homepage. And there was a particular, feature that they had where they could offer featured products. And they had their featured products all the way down here. And so when I opened this up and we looked at the scroll, we immediately identified that those featured products weren't so featured. That they had to move that information up. So you want to make sure that when your customer hits your site, they're getting access to the content that is going to be best serving them, right? Again, the idea of looking at this from a high level and then drilling down into the outliers, getting to the information that you're looking for. So I really encourage you to try a trial of this, get in, engage with it, see what is possible, see all the different data points that you can get access to. Keeping in mind from a B2B standpoint that the power is in really the profile and these custom dimensions and understanding what these users and how they're engaging with your site. So with that, I'm going to jump back into my presentation. And I know I have about a few more minutes here. Let's see here. All right. And you're still seeing what other data I can see, correct?
Yes, correct.
Perfect. So demo time, just jumped in. Talked a little long to be able to do that. So what I really want to focus on here is the word customer, right? It's all about your customer. What are they searching for? Make sure you're providing them with the products and the content that they need to have. Where are they spending their time? Make sure that you're giving them a reason to stay on your site. Customers using those features, those features are not inexpensive in some cases. So you want to make sure they're using them. Are they buying? What are they buying? Get to the product categories, the individual products. What are they leaving in their cart? Right? What are they abandoning? What are they not purchasing from you, completing that? Being able to drill down into that. But ultimately, what other questions are you trying to answer? Because I think that as we've gone through, I hope you've seen the power of Matomo. I hope you understand that it can help you even build out that digital analytics strategy. It can give you the opportunity to navigate and find the information that you're looking for. You can extend it to be able to push the data out and get to it in a way that is useful offline as well as through online. And really developing that overall ability to get to the underlying data at each of these points. So ultimately, whatever the question, right? Matomo can help you get to that answer. And I really do appreciate your time today. Any questions? I'm kind of cutting it off just a couple minutes early to address any questions. Get back into Matomo if you want to see some more. My name's Dan, again, from Domani Strategies. Happy to engage with anyone with questions after this presentation as well. So with that, Peter, any
Perfect.
questions?
Thank you, Dan, for your excellent presentation and talk. I think you managed to, even if we have a really narrow time window, you compressed everything very well without losing a lot of detail. And so thank you a lot, and also the audience for attending the talk and for your time. I think we have another question from Diana. She asks
Sure.
if if you think that this also is the solution for a one-person business, even if you do not have a lot of stakeholders using it, a lot of money in the bank to manage everything, to report everything, do you think Matomo is then also the way to go?
Yeah, I think Matomo can provide you certain, information. It's easy to use. You don't have to spend a lot of time organizing the data. I know with Google Analytics, there's power and there's all that, but it's not very, you have to kind of organize it. I myself have, started using Matomo on my one person kind of Domani Strategies site. So yes, I do recommend it. And as you grow, you can find out where you might need to spend more time on the site to engage your customers better. So yes, absolutely, you could find value in it.
Okay, thank you very much. And also, perhaps on behalf of the audience, I have another question. Perhaps this could be helpful. Do you have any process or paradigm of defining your KPIs, some framework in an abstract way? Because also people will have online stores or e-commerce stores in different shapes, forms, and topics. Perhaps not the exact same KPIs will be fitting exactly for them. Do you have any tips for them?
Yeah, so I think what you want to do is understand what's important for you to be providing to your customer, right? Because at the end of the day, your e-commerce, your B2B site is an extension of your business online, right? It's a digital channel. So engaging with your customers and understanding what's important to them and then building the KPIs around those questions, I think is key. Now, there's certainly things that apply to all businesses, right? Things that out of the box make sense and dashboards that we could work on together and build pretty straightforward, simple capabilities to get to that data. But when it comes to building out that strategy and which KPIs, my overall opinion is you start with your customer needs and make sure that your website is meeting those needs from a B2B standpoint.
Okay, great answer. Thank you very much. At the moment, we do not have any more questions, though the
Okay.
chat room stays open if there are any other questions, any further questions. So we will discuss, go on with the discussion there. And also, this talk will be up as a video in the video platform later on. So you can have a look at every detail if you missed something in the talk or it was too quick, then you can rewatch everything again.
Perfect.
So
Thank you all
then
very
thank you
much.
again and have a great day and evening.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.